With a full White House invitation extended to the Russian president, the storyline of a Trump-Putin bromance will now gain more oxygen.
Come a long way.
One of the key players in the middle of this U.S.-Russia relationship is Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Putin may get a White House visit, but Pompeo tells CBN News that doesn't mean he should be trusted.
A lot of folks believe that, in essence, Russia is still spying on the United States. You were former CIA guy, now Secretary of State. What's the answer to that?
We're eyes wide open about Russians' efforts to undermine Western democracy. We're going to do our level best to stop them. And when we don't stop them, we will call them out for it and make sure they understand that that type of behavior is unacceptable.
In our interview, the secretary also had to put out another recent Russia fire because the White House had at least entertained at first a request from Vladimir Putin to interrogate certain American citizens in exchange for Russia's help when it came to those 12 Russians indicted for election hacking. But Pompeo doused that idea quickly.
That's not going to happen. The administration is not going to force Americans to travel to Russia to be interrogated by Vladimir Putin and his team.
The bipartisan criticism has been loud this week since the president's performance standing side by side with Putin.
There's been a lot of heat and relatively little light in the past few days about the president's visit to Helsinki. But make no mistake, President Trump understands that Russia doesn't share our interest in every place. And so he was very clear with Vladimir Putin about that.
As for the private meeting between the two, Pompeo outlined a few areas of common ground.
He went there with the objective to create the opportunity for leaders of these two powers that own enormous nuclear capacity to have a channel to communicate. There were places they found overlap. We're going to work on counterterrorism together. We're hopeful that on some of these grand arms control issues that are very important to the world, that there may well be a path forward.
The path forward for the left and mainstream media is pretty easy. Non-stop criticism, suggesting a cozy relationship between President Trump and the questioning of his own intelligence agencies.
Do you think the media and liberals are a bit out of control on the treason stuff? I mean, they've been just hammering this president on open treason. What has been your view of that?
Yeah, it's silly. I actually looked back at some of the senator statements when the president was Barack Obama. They were talking about the need for an important, good relationship between somehow they have either changed their mind or they've become pure political hacks. I suspect it's the latter and not the former.
Dealing with the critics is part of the job for Pompeo, and so is navigating the tricky dance with Russia. David Brody, CBN News, Washington.